said, I do a lot with hunter safety and DNR. I taught agriculture education in the classroom for 13 years before moving into this role as our local 4-H agent for the county. So excited to share some of this information with you guys today. And to kick it off, we're not going to do your normal Zoom session here. We're going to play a little game. And I'm going to have a sound play in just a moment, a couple of sounds, and you're going to name that game. So in your chat box, if you would just like to drop what kind of critter you think is making this sound, that'll be our fun way to get started today. So here comes our first critter. I forgot to warn you, it might be really loud on your speaker. So if you need to adjust your sound, if I, woke you up real good, I am sorry. So if you'd like to try and take a guess at what our first critter was in your chat box, you can go ahead and drop the name of that animal now. Give us just a moment. I'll replay it. Do we need to replay it? Yes, these are all in Georgia. They can all be found in Georgia. Not a cow.
You're stumping us, Brandi.
All right. So that one is going to be a deer. That is going to be a mama deer. What do we think she's saying right there? Like, not that I'm Dr. Doolittle by any means, but this is a bleat that she is normally going to use to communicate with her young. The young's going to communicate with her back on this, whether it just be general conversations, distress, or alert. That pitch is just going to change from there. Our bucks will sometimes use this bleat during the mating season, but that is going to be our first sound. Sound number 2. All right, what do we think? Yes, it is a turkey. That is correct. And again, going with this little Dr. Doolittle thing I have going on here, this is going to be a yelp. Again, mostly our hens are going to be using this, whether it be to tell a tom, like, hey, I'm over here, come find me during that mating season, or it be communication with other hens or their young. That is a yelp. And these sounds, if we're thinking, what is this woman even sharing this information with us for? As you begin going down your journey of hunting, these noises, these calls, you can use as you become more proficient in your skill set to attract your game when you are hunting. So before I tell you what it is, while you put your guesses in, if you were to have coyotes on your property, this is not a coyote, but if you were to have coyotes on your property and you were raising livestock, because we are homesteading and we are trying to feed ourselves here, and these coyotes are a nuisance critter for us, and they are going to be generating some issues for raising our livestock, and we wanted to try to call those in. We wanted to hunt them and try to eliminate them. They are open season because they are that nuisance animal for us. What we could do is play this noise. This is a distressed rabbit. So this could attract them as well. And then our last critter. Probably my favorite critter because he literally says his name in the call. It's our bobby white quail. I'm going to go back to him so you can hear him say his name. So he literally says his own name in his call. So that is our bobby white quail as well. Now that I officially have you all reeled in, Yeah, I'm punny. I know. Now that I officially have you all reeled in, I'm going to kind of go over our learning objectives for today. Hopefully, by the end of this, I will have explained to you guys, the benefits of hunting and fishing within your homestead program that you've established for yourself and your family. We will look into Georgia hunting laws and regulations, how to safely and legally harvest your wild game, the how to support your wildlife on your property through wildlife management, handling and storing your wild game that you have harvested. And then, of course, we only have an hour together today, and there are so many resources out there. So, setting you up for success on where and how to find more information later on. Why consider hunting and fishing? Today's topic and conversation, I will lean more into the hunting component of it. I feel as though most of our general population probably feels a lot more comfortable with fishing. So I will lean into the hunting, but when we get to that Q&A time, we can tap into that fishing segment somewhere as well. But the why consider hunting and fishing: more self-sufficient, spending time outdoors. You're going to be able to provide that food for your family and not be dependent on the grocery store, and create some nice, meaningful family traditions around the meal at your table. One deer can feed you approximately 40 to 60 pounds of boneless meat a year. So, and with your tag limits, you'll be able to, if you've got that good freezer space, get yourself good and stocked up. When we think about hunting, some people do get into their feels about your animal activisms or your animal welfare. And when we talk about hunting, the definition of hunting actually is going to be that legal and ethical pursuit and harvest of wildlife that helps manage animal populations, supports conservation efforts, and provides sustainable source for food. So it's not just a recreational activity out there. When we're truly talking about hunting, we're going to be doing wildlife management practices. We're going to be helping control that population because every habitat and ecosystem is going to have a carrying capacity. And if we do not keep that carrying capacity in check, that population in check, if it is one that can boom on us quickly and go unchecked and grow exponentially as a deer population can, then we're going to start having competition for food, um, competition for habitat, water, all those limiting factors. And that's going to start leading to a decline in the population naturally once we hit that carrying capacity, where that habitat can no longer support a breeding ground for all of the organisms or can no longer support food for all of those organisms. We're going to start having disease, starvation, a decline in birth rates as biologically those mama deer are not going to be having babies. Their bodies are going to say, we can't take care of ourselves, so we definitely can't take care of an offspring. So Georgia hunting seasons and their bag limits are going to be designed around this biological data to support population surveys and keep wildlife populations healthy and sustainable. So, all of this to say that hunting is so much more, again, than that recreational component. You're going to be helping manage a population and keeping deer populations from exceeding that capacity. You're going to be protecting the population from a disease spread. Another thing we don't even really think about when it comes to deer is going to be that they are one of the most dangerous animals in North America as far as causing deaths per year. We have over 200 deaths per year due to white-tailed deer interactions, mainly through those vehicle collisions. Crop damage. In South Georgia, our farming community is really starting to struggle with the deer population being more of a nuisance animal, as it's going to take 15 to 30 pounds of forage a day to sustain them. So they're damaging crops and becoming a nuisance animal there as well. And then again, as that population becomes unchecked, that habitat quality just declines greatly. So when we are supporting Georgia wildlife and wanting to protect those animals, wildlife management does come into play, and hunting is a key component of that. So I just always like to include this component in our conversations so that people really grasp that it's even more than just feeding my family. I am helping Georgia wildlife as a whole by helping to manage this population. Then with my younger students, I do always like to add into them, like when we start talking about these bag limits and tag limits, this is why those are out there. It's not that Georgia Department of Natural Resources wants to tell you how many you can harvest a year. It's that we want to make sure we are protecting that hunt for the next season. Our nutritional value, moving into you are cool with it, you've decided that this is how you want to start bringing some protein to your table. Let's dive into nutritional value and how this is going to add to our family dinner. Our deer and venison is obviously going to be very high in protein and iron, rich in vitamin B. It is going to be one of your leaner cuts. So if you're wanting to make your hamburger out of your ground deer, you're going to need to add you some fat in there to allow that ground meat to adhere and stick together to form that nice patty for yourself. At the bottom of each of these species, I have put something to consider when consuming that protein source. And with our deer and venison, something that has been creeping into our area, well, I say our area, more so North Georgia, chronic wasting disease in the deer population. This is going to be one of those prion neurological diseases that creates those abnormal folds in the brain proteins. And it is not zoonotic that they are aware of currently. It is not zoonotic. When this disease is reported, it is the deer is going to appear more emaciated. You're going to have some tumor looking lesions on their neck and body. If you do see this in a deer, DNR and the CDC is recommending obviously any deer that appears to be sickly that you do not consume. And as far as chronic wasting disease is concerned, we do want to definitely, if you do, we want to down that deer and take it in and let it be tested, get it reported with DNR as we are trying to follow and track that disease progression across the country. Fish, when considering to harvest your fish, I have included a QR code right here so that you can scan and go to a document that is put out to let you know the waterways in Georgia and how many times you should consume a species of fish from that body of water, whether it be the Flint and you are fishing for catfish. You will want to look at that Flint River, look at that fish species that you are wanting to harvest, and it will tell you that it's recommended to only eat that fish. I'm making up my numbers right now, but maybe it's recommended to eat that fish only once a week or eat so many ounces of that fish once a month, depending on, again, if it is a bottom feeder, that food web, whatever that critter is consuming within that waterway, you might then be consuming depending on if it is one that is going to expel from their body naturally or kind of retain in their body with the heavy metals and things like that. So we do have a question in the chat box. Do you know if chronic wasting down deer count towards your limit for the season? That is a really good question. I'm going to say I do not believe so, but I have our book, Regulations, Hunting and Regulations book, linked in this, and we can definitely dive into there to get more clarification on that. And we can share out with all of our participants afterwards. I can contact to get a 100% answer on that question. Going forward with your fowl, your bird, populations, when we are talking about a bird that flies, so not our turkeys per se, but when we're talking about our waterfowl, something that people who have not eaten wild game fowl do not realize is the dark meat versus white meat. Your turkeys will have white meat as they are not your flying fowl. But your water birds, your flying fowl, they're going to be exercising all of those muscles. As those wings are beating and flying, that lactic acid in there is causing that meat to darken. They are actually exercising all of their muscles. Whereas our chicken, our turkey, they are walking and only those lower muscles, those leg muscles, those thigh muscles are getting that lactic acid flowing in there. So when you are doing your waterfowl, you are going to have all dark meat. And if that is not your preferred flavor, then you may want to stick to more turkey or go just with your fish, deer, venison. Our rabbit population, when we're talking about rabbits, we down here my note on rabbit, elk, fish, all of our things, all of our low fat, highly nutritious, lean protein sources. Any balanced diet, any meal needs to be a balanced diet. You do not want to overload your protein. You want to make sure that you are having a healthy balance. So there is such a condition called rabbit starvation. If you were to try to feed your family or feed yourself just based on a rabbit diet as your protein source, which again, we're not in today's society, that is really probably not going to be a concern of ours. We're going to be being balanced where our palates are not going to want just that little rabbit every night. So, but I do like to put it in there just to know, like, if we are doing a highly saturated protein diet, then when we're not allowing our bodies to have those diverse nutritions, then we can cause other issues. Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. So we can cause some other nutritional issues within our bodies if we are not paying attention to that. And then with our rabbit, hunting season is again designed to protect the hunter and protect the hunt for next season. So paying attention to that rabbit season, it is designed even specifically for not only the breeding for those rabbits, breeding season for those rabbits, but also designed so that we're protecting our hunters from consuming the rabbit meat during the time of year when disease would be more prevalent in the meat. Barriers and concerns to hunting in the general population. If you've never done this before, limited access to private land, the cost of getting your equipment and gear, lack of experience. And again, with that lack of experience comes your confidence as far as how safe do you feel doing this. So, in order to remove some of those barriers, some myths and then reality that I wanted to cover with everyone is going to be some people like to think that hunting is only for people who grew up doing it. How can I possibly get into hunting if this is something that I never did? Um, Many successful hunters start as adults. Most important thing is going to be for you to get that hunter safety certificate, then to find yourself a good mentor, someone who is experienced to mentor you through this process and help you gain that confidence to be able to venture on that journey. You need thousands of acres to hunt. This is definitely not reality. We have in our area 3 local WMAs. We've got our wildlife management areas, and they're going to provide you with permission to be able to hunt on those lands. Taxes from your equipment purchases and your ammunition purchases are actually going to support these lands through the Robert Pittman Act. Pittman-Robertson Act is actually a percentage of the taxes are going towards hunter education, going towards these local WMAs. I'm so sorry. So we've got Camp Thunder, we've got Joe Kurtz, we got Squirrel Bluff. Following all of those hunting regulations and hunting season, these are lands that you can, um, as a citizen, go and hunt on, following all of your regulations. Hunting saves money immediately. You know, I'm not going to the grocery store. I'm not paying to for that critter. There is going to be your upfront investment with your licenses, with your equipment, but it is going to provide you with high quality protein for years to come. You have to know everything before you start. Absolutely not. You do want to make sure you're confident and you feel safe. That is going to be what you need to think about most before starting. But with proper hunter education and proper mentorship, you're going to be able to get out there and build that confidence and start harvesting your local game. Speaking of those regulations, every year Georgia is going to put out a hunting and fishing regulations pamphlet. It is going to contain everything that you could need to know, seasons, tag limits, what firearms can I use during what seasons, what different counties even can have different regulations. So, as a hunter, it is your responsibility to know and understand the laws and regulations governing your hunts. I didn't know is never an excuse. You need to know before you go. I have included a QR code for everyone to our 25-26 pamphlet. You can always get this digitally online. And my favorite thing about looking it up digitally is that wonderful Control F button on your keyboard, that Control Find, type in your question, and you'll be able to find exactly in that pamphlet where that information is that you're wanting to know. In Georgia, any hunters born after January 1st, 1961 must complete their hunter education before purchasing a hunting license. Um, our office offers 3 courses yearly. We offer one in the summer, fall, and spring. The Georgia FFA Wildlife Camp, they have a week-long program for youth only, where they can come and have a fun camping experience and learn the material and then take their test. The SHARP program, this is at Charlie Elliott. It is not going to get you necessarily your hunter safety, but once you have it, this is an excellent program that partners your novice beginner hunters with a mentor experienced hunter, and they take you out hunting on that WMA property. I've also listed, just looking up online, and I can show you guys how to do this as well, but just looking up online, when you create a Go Outdoors account, which we will talk about in a moment, you will be able to look up any hunter safety classes in your area or in Georgia. You'll be able to look those up. There are in-person classes and there are online courses that you can pay to take. This is one that is licensed and certified for Georgia. You do want to make sure you're taking a Georgia certified course if doing an online one. And those online courses typically do have a cost associated with them. They are going to be asynchronistic, meaning you're going to move at your own pace through that course. The material is set to all of your courses are set with that standard of 8 hours of instruction. You can move through an online course at a quicker pace than 8 hours, but it is going to be 8 hours worth of content that you are moving through at your own pace. In-person classes, a lot of times will have no cost associated with them if there's not like a live fire component where you get to actually have a shooting experience. They may ask just to cover some of the lunches if they provide a meal. Some of them may be multiple days or one day. It just kind of depends on that. And my presentation just kind of stalled out on us, it appears. Unresponsive. That is fun. Trying to think. Next, my slides were going to go into for you guys. It was going to go into talking next about the Go Outdoors app. The Go Outdoors app is, now we're making some progress. The Go Outdoors app, or on the internet, Go Outdoors Georgia.com or .gov is, and this is what it looks like on your phone, and I've got your link to it. But Go Outdoors Georgia, this is going to be your main hub, your one-stop shop for all things purchasing hunting and fishing licenses, obtaining deer and turkey harvest records, purchasing your specialty license and permits, applying for quota hunts, viewing regulations. All those rules and regulations can also be found in your app hub. Access to your own account and harvest history. And I think Brooklyn has just put the link in the chat box for us, which is awesome that you can click on and go to as well. You'll want to create an account here, especially if you're trying to sign up for a hunter safety course. You're going to sign up through this Go Outdoors portal. If your student is signing up and they are 16 years and older, they are going to need a driver's license. It's going to recognize their age. I'm not quite sure that they've really their learner's permit. I know some students are waiting longer to get their learner's permit with Joshua Law. Some of them are waiting until 17, but the system will recognize their birthday is calculating them as a 16-year-old, and they will need a learner's permit or a driver's license to proceed forward in the account if they are 16 years or older. So if they were waiting to get their learner's permit and wanting their hunter safety, they need to probably go ahead and get that learner's permit. So they'll have that driver's license to set up their accounts. Once your account is set up and you do have your licenses and your hunter safety certificate, I like to take a digital copy, screenshot it on my phone so that it is there if any questions were to come up while on your hunt or expedition. Speaking of those age requirements, no minimum age to hunt in Georgia. We want all of our youth to safely experience this. So if they are younger than 11, they must be accompanied by a licensed adult, 18 years or older, if they are younger than 11. Our hunters that are going to be 12 to 15-year-olds, they must complete a hunter education course if they want to hunt unsupervised. So if you felt like your 15-year-old or 13-year-old was good to not be within vision shot or earshot of you and wanted to hunt unsupervised, at this point they could hunt unsupervised so long as they have taken and passed that hunter safety course. It is, however, unlawful for an adult to permit their child, all right, to hunt without adult supervision unless they possess that hunter safety certificate. Once that child reaches the age of 16, they must get their hunter safety certificate in order to even purchase their licenses and go on their hunt. 16 to 25 is going to be asked to present that hunter safety certificate in order to get their licenses. Whereas hunters over the age of 25, hunters 26 of age or older and born after January 1st, 1961, they're going to need to meet that hunter education requirement, but you will not be asked to present it when purchasing your licenses. Going into your legal harvest is very important once you have gone through the process of getting your hunter safety and now you feel confident to begin that hunt. It is very important for you to know your target, to know what you are hunting for, because that is going to determine what firearm you're using, what ammunition you're using, or whether you're using a bow. It's going to determine how you are dressed and what you're wearing, whether you're wearing your blaze orange Or now in Georgia, blaze pink is accepted, 500 square inches of blaze orange or blaze pink. And if I'm speaking a language that isn't common, then that is going to be your vest. That is going to be that safety, that fluorescent orange. There was a young lady in Georgia, I do not recall her name, but she was a young lady that stood up and said, I want to wear pink when I'm hunting. So she met with Governor Kemp at the state capitol and got all legislation passed to have blaze pink officially accepted. So we'll start seeing some blaze pink vests in the store soon. So that'll be fun. But it's going to determine, how you're dressed, what you're hunting with, what gear you have. And it's going to keep you from inadvertently hunting illegally. We have our non-game species in Georgia. You have game species, which are going to be the species that you are allowed to legally harvest in Georgia, that are going to have a season that you're going to follow and be able to legally harvest those species. And then we have our non-game species, which you are not going to be hunting and you're not going to be taking, because then that would be an illegal harvest, that would be poaching, and you are not going to enjoy the repercussions if you were to even inadvertently do this. And this is why it is very important to always positively identify your target before shooting. So just to quickly cover our non-game species, not limited to, but the big ones are our hawks, our owls, most of our songbirds, and our endangered species. So I put these two critters up here because, if you don't know, if you haven't studied and educated yourself, then these are just both a bird to a common citizen. And they both are very similar in their coloring. But one is going to be our hawk predator, and one is going to be our game bird, our quail. So now for a fun game, take the shot or not. And again, if you want to just, as you're sitting there, just in your head, kind of think through, would I take the shot or not? Would this shot be an ethical? When we were hunting, it is very important to be an ethical hunter as well. We want, again, going back to that animal welfare piece, we are practicing wildlife management practices here. It is not just recreational. So we are going to be an ethical hunter. We're going to take ethical, clean shots at vital organs. We're going to take lawful shots. So you can either put in the chat box right here if you'd like, I would take the shot or I would not take the shot. Or you can just think it in your head if you want. And then we'll kind of discuss as I give you a few moments. So our nice wood duck right here, where it is not technically illegal to shoot on open water. If you are in a powered boat, that would be illegal. If you were in the powered motorized boat, you would not be able to shoot on the water. It is not recommended, while you could if you were on land, and this was here. Ricochet on open water is a concern with your firearm, with your ammunition. So this would not be a recommended shot to take. Another thing when shooting our waterfowl is we want to make sure we are using non-toxic lead shot. Non-toxic lead shot when we are shooting waterfowl, as all of those spent pellets and the birds ingest them, our bird populations were dying off, our waterfowl populations were getting poisoned by lead shot. So we do want to use, like I said, when we are identifying what we're hunting for, that's going to change the type of ammunition and equipment that we are taking on the hunt with us. So I will take this moment to say non-toxic lead shot for our waterfowl. Would we take this shot or not? The only comment I have on this one, on would we take this shot or not, is going to be ethical clean. Like, do we feel like we can shoot that? Season is going to be my biggest thing with this comment, is going to be Is this the right season? And when we look at that vegetation, it's kind of suggesting that it's not in season for us because that season is going to end come February. Take the shot or not. This is a nice, we call this broadside. This angle that this deer is presenting to us is broadside. However, yes, we have a dwelling in the background. So we're not going to be shooting in the direction or in the vicinity. In our hunting regulations, it'll tell you what your distance is that you must maintain from any residency or commercial area because we do not want any stray ammunition going into anyone's yard. We don't know who's back there. When we can't safely know what's in our background, we are not going to be taking that shot. And then this would be illegal as that dwelling is there. Now then, my students, they get distracted, don't even notice the house. They notice the rack. They notice that he's broadside. Speaking of those vital organs, our vital organs for our deer are going to be our lung and heart. All right. So we're going to be shooting right about here to get that good. And a broadside angle provides, with our larger game, provides an excellent viewpoint to those vital organs. So if this dwelling was not there and we were on some perfectly distanced from any residence or commercial area, then yes. But with depending on season, but with that dwelling in the background, absolutely not. Would we take the shot or not? Again, we have that nice broadside angle. All right, he's not in motion. So this shot, ooh, I didn't even know that thumbs up was an option on here. That's cute. Yes, we would take that shot. I'm seeing some thumbs up icons pop up on people's faces. That's fun. Would we take this shot or not? So we've got hens in the vicinity that we can't truly maintain that we're not going to get them in this line of fire as well. So in Georgia, very rarely do we have a season that does allow us to take down hens. We've got our toms, gobblers. Those are going to be what we're going for. So in the shot, we can't guarantee that we are not going to maim or take down one of the hens. So we would wait for a more clean, direct line on our tom here and our gobblers. This shot, as far as ethical, we do have some brush currently in the line of fire. She is a doe. So depending on if it is doe season, that's something we need to take into consideration. And then our patience, talking to my younger hunters, we have to talk about, if it's the end of the season and they haven't gotten anything all year, they start getting a little trigger happy. So we want to make sure that we are just trying to get that ethical clean shot. And we have some brush in the way right here. And if another thing with not getting that ethical clean shot, not only talking just to the younger hunters, not only are we super concerned about, we do not want that animal suffering. That deer is going to, once it is wounded, is going to run on you, and you are going to be tracking that deer. So if you don't get that ethical clean shot, chances of it downing any time soon in the area for you to find it are going to be very low. Then obviously we don't want to ruin our meat either if we are shooting in the gut region at all. So having that patience that comes with time and confidence in your skill and developing your skill, gaining that patience to wait for that doe, if it is in the doe season, to get out of that brush is going to give you a cleaner line of shot. Would we take the shot or not? I think in this one we're pretty safe to get that good vital organ shot there. This is quartering away. So in this angle, the deer is quartering away from us, so we can see a quarter of its body, but turned away from us. It depends on your skill level. There are hunters that say that they can definitely take that shot ethically and cleanly. The fog, I would say, is a concerning limiting factor here about what is beyond your target. If you cannot safely identify what is beyond your target, um, you need to reconsider your shot. So that might be something to take into consideration here. Take the shot or not. So right here, we are in movement. So we definitely do not want to take a shot on an animal in movement, in a large game animal. In movement, our bird, flying, fowl is different. But in movement, this is going to just provide an inability to truly confidently say you're going to get that clean, ethical shot. Again, our on the water conversation that we had earlier, remembering that we need our non-toxic shot. This one, it's so funny. My students always slip up on this one. Does anybody know why the biggie on this one, on why we should not take the shot? So, yes, wrong time of day. So, we cannot shine. There are certain game species like your raccoon, possum that you would be able to hunt at night. The light has to be affixed to your body, helmet or body. But our deer, they are not a species that we can hunt at night. So, shining is not going to be permitted. So, this would be an illegal harvest. And looking at the time, I will start to move on through more quickly, but we've got a good broad shot. This is a non-game species. This is our quail. However, where it is not illegal to shoot your game birds on the ground, it is generally frowned upon as not practice. Just from an ethical hunter standpoint, challenging yourself, it is just generally not the practice to shoot our birds on the ground. So we're in the air, we're good. Now then, moving on to our typical seasons. I won't necessarily read this out to you guys, all components of this, but a thing to consider is always verify dates and annually because regulations can change from time to time. And within certain species, you will have, with our deer species, we have an archery season that's going to open up earlier. We've got our primitive weapons season that is going to open up prior to our firearm season. And then within our firearm season, we've got to make sure we are wearing that 500 square inches of blaze orange. Again, noting with our rabbit and disease, November to February is when that disease is not going to be present in that animal. So that is going to be and taking their breeding season into consideration. This is going to be our time zone, our season for rabbit hunting. And then you've got some counties that will open up additional seasons. So again, looking at that hunting regulation book is going to really help you. It'll break it down by county for you that has the additional, like if there's a season that opens up additionally in another county, like that population is of deer, again, going back to that carrying capacity, if a county just had a much larger population and they were really needing some more control, then they might have an extended season or that extra delayed season. Fishing, that is, you're just going to need your fishing license. And again, I love to do that screenshot on the phone. Certain species, like if you're going to go trout fishing, saltwater fishing, you're going to look into some different licenses there. But generally, you're going to get a year-round fishing license. If you had family come in from out of state, there are special licenses that you can get that are like a one-day use license like that. Getting started. So we've gone through why we want to do it, how the meat is nutritious for us and what it brings to our table. So how do we get started? Again, make sure we have that hunter safety certificate. Make sure we've researched what we're hunting and we know our target. We've acquired those proper tags and licenses. We know our seasons. We know the regulations associated with that species. We are confident with our equipment. We are always having that muzzle control. We are identifying our target. We are keeping our finger out of the trigger well until we are ready to fire. Again, those are all those big. We are not pointing our firearm at anything we do not intend to shoot. We treat every firearm as if it is loaded, even when it is not. Those are our top 5 biggies in our firearm safety. So that knowledge is going to come with that confidence and practice and range time and feeling confident with your firearm. And that's going to come if you are not versed in this. That is going to come with a mentor. You're going to want to find a mentor who's going to help you and walk you through this. And if you're like, well, that's been my barrier, I don't have a mentor. DNR is a great place to start. They have apprenticeship hunting programs all the time where they will match you up with a veteran hunter and give you that confidence and take you out on those hunts all throughout the year to give you that. And then going to ranges, going to hunter safety courses at ranges, firearm safety courses at gun ranges. Start small. Start with small game, work your way up. Always, always be a safe hunter, a responsible hunter, a respectful hunter. We definitely want to respect private property. You, as a homesteader, I am absolutely confident are going to be the utmost respecters of this, as you are the true stewards of our land and property. You know that importance of respecting one's land. So if we were to want to hunt on private land, you want to approach that landowner well in advance of your hunt. You want to offer them, if you are to get a kill on their land, you want to offer them some of your game, some of your harvest. And finally, be a knowledgeable hunter. Your equipment that you're going to have here, I've just kind of listed this out. And again, looking at our time with 10 minutes, I will just leave this slide with, it's not always the biggest, most expensive equipment. It really is, what are you hunting for and what do you need for that? And I've got your advantages and limitations to each of these equipment options. Again, hunter regulation book, hunter regulation book, hunter regulation book. That book is going to tell you what firearms can you use for what species. For instance, migratory birds, we're going to need to make sure that there's only 3 rounds in that chamber for certain migratory birds. And if a plug is needed, and again, that might be a language right now that makes you feel like, what is she talking about? But that if a plug is needed to control that firearm to not allow more than those 3 rounds, then that's something that you need to look into. And the regulations book can tell you all about it. All about it. Food plots. This goes back into the management of wildlife management practices. Even if you're not hunting, if you just want to diversify the wildlife on your property, you can plant a food plot. And this differs greatly from baiting, as baiting is just going to be putting out concentrated food sources placed specifically to attract wildlife. Corn piles, mineral blocks, protein feeders. This is not going to be legal in Georgia unless it is on private land. Private land, under certain regulations, reading and following the regulation books, there are some stipulations where this can be allowed. On any public land, baiting, hunting over bait is going to be poaching and an illegal harvest. And finally, your harvest, recovering your animal safely, learning how to track your animal, um, field dressing properly, videos on that. If you want to process your deer yourself, getting that equipment and recommending the vacuum seal method for that. Or there are several local processors in our area that you can Google very easily and find to transport your meat to quickly and have it processed. Georgia Hunters for the Hungry wanted to put that plug out there. If you were to get, if your freezer is full and you haven't tagged out and you keep getting them because you just became really good at it, or you got great management on your property, you can donate your deer to, you can find a local food processor, deer cooler that supports this program, take it there and they will process and get it to Georgia Hunters for the Hungry and get it to food pantries in our area. And now, if there are any questions with our 7 minutes left, I'm so sorry.